as soon as they get on there, now they're seeing death and gore. There's sometimes, things that aren't flagged because an account hasn't been restricted yet. Or even funnier, Grimzy posted a picture of himself shirtless yesterday and it was marked as adult content. And I thought that was absolutely fucking hilarious.
Was it?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. You're lying like a mother. Was it for real?
I commented on it because I was like, what does motherfucker post? I don't even want to hit this, but I'm like, I need to open it just in case I need to ask him a question on the podcast. And I open it, it's just you leaning up against the tree.
Mm-hmm. And then I stared at it for 20 minutes, Yep. The weirdest feelings inside.
Thanks for watching the Trunk Tales. Hope you guys get subscribed, like, follow, comment, do all the things that the algorithm likes. Subscribe to us from your mom's account. Share us with your neighbor who hates you. Let everyone know about the Trunk Tales and let us know who you want to get in the trunk next. I think we're good.
I think we got it. Sounds good.
By George, I think we got it, Drew. I think we got it.
Welcome, everyone, to the Trunk Tales. I'm Andrew. My co-host here is Grimzy, newly indoctrinated Florida man. And our special guest today is the Lectern Guy himself, Adam Johnson. How you doing?
Well, hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on again. I mean, we had you as a guest on my wife and I's show last year, pre-election, and that might be a keyword that we have to keep out of videos still, which is insane that you can't say such a common word that shouldn't be a problem on any platform, but it is.
PTSD coming into you right now. It's PTSD.
Yeah. But, we talked about a lot of great stuff last year. So, I think that now that obviously it's been almost a year, it's been about 11 months, I believe.
Yeah.
That, we can revisit some of those things. But also we want to talk about your book that is, in fact, coming out, which everyone in our comments section said there's no way in hell that's going to happen.
Well, I had that stipulation on my plea deal where I couldn't sell anything or do anything for any type of monetary gain using my name, likeness, image for 5 years. I got a presidential pardon, so I'm like, well, I guess I can release the book now.
Yeah.
So, they actually do exist. We have a white edition and black edition, so one's hard, one's soft.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask is there like a special passage in one that people don't get, or is one autographed? But okay, hard and soft. That makes sense.
All the pre-orders that are ordered from now until I want to say October 6th will be signed. You can buy them on our website, unlicensed.furnituremovers.com. And again, we'll have those shipped out as soon as they get here. They're currently in print. So I'm excited
make sure
for you guys
that
to read
link
it.
is down below.
Oh, yeah. I apologize for my chat. I apologize for the shit going on behind me, man. I just got here yesterday after a 30-hour drive. So y'all got to forgive what the fuck is going on. I don't have energy for anything right now. But we had to pull ourselves out of bed here for the Lectern Guy, man. We had to make it happen.
Huh?
So 30 hours, that would put you somewhere in Arizona or, God, maybe Nevada?
Negative.
Worst 30 hours.
Negative.
So Northeast then?
So, no, it was from Chicago.
Okay.
But I have 2 cats and I have an injured dog that just had surgery Monday. So I'm making 100 stops, and plus the fact that somebody's driving the U-Haul with another car on the back of it. So can't leave them behind. So, and I left at probably the worst time ever. I ended up going through Atlanta on a Friday mid rush hour. So
there's never a good time to drive through Atlanta. So
no, but Friday rush hour is probably not the right one.
I drove through Atlanta one time. This is a long, I guess I've driven through there more than once, but one time I drove through in the middle of the night. I was stationed at Fort Benning at the time, and I was driving either to or from my hometown, from leave. And what's the bypass? Is that 265 or what is that around Atlanta? Anyways, doesn't matter. I was hauling ass. I was doing well over 100 miles an hour. And the median, it's like the concrete barricade median. Yeah. There was a cop on the other side, but because he couldn't get to me, he just flashed his lights like, I see you, You better slow down. And I was like, I am the only car on the road. I should probably slow down because how hard is
you
it
have
going to
lost
be?
your mind. You look, go play with GSP if you want to, man.
Yeah.
It's
Play with them if you want to.
285. That's what it is. It's 285.
285. Yeah. So that shit right there, I'm
I got
mentally and
pulled
physically
over.
dead.
I got pulled over once on 75 coming down through Georgia. I had been driving from Ohio, like straight through the night, and I had 3 young kids in the back of the car. And state trooper pulls me over, and I explained the situation. Like, man, I've been driving the night, missed my flight. My ex didn't show up to the airport, so I had a flight to come back home. Had to rent a car. Been driving all night. It's already been a bad day, and it's the only time a state trooper has ever let me off of anything.
Wow.
I looked in the back, and he's like, "Yeah, you know what? Just have a good day. Have a better day." Yeah.
I had one time where I was driving, I think through Tennessee and through, what do they call it? The tail of the dragon or whatever through there. And I had to piss so bad. There's nowhere to pull over because it's just cliff that you fall off of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hauling ass, man. He pulls me over. He was sitting in one of the semi runoff things. And I see him and pulls me over and he walks up and I'm like tapping my foot. He's asking me if I'm anxious. I'm like, dude, I'm like about to shit my pants. I swear to God, I'm going to shit my pants. Please just give me the ticket and let me go. I need to go.
I feel like that's a valid excuse for anyone. I really do. Like, I'm only speeding it because I'm trying to get home because I don't need a mess here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And once you hit that 40-year-old mark, I mean, it's, you know, it's like a kid. Like, I didn't have to go when I was at the grocery store. I didn't have to go before I left. I need to go right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So before we get sidetracked on the shit conversation, we've already had one of those episodes. Let's talk a little bit about what has transpired over the last couple of months post election and then the process kind of, and I'll make sure I link that video so people can go back and watch that if they're interested. But what was it like, first off, I guess, seeing the election results, and then beyond that, what was kind of your anticipation of what was going to come next? Like, was it like an immediate sigh of relief, like you knew that what was coming next was going to be in your favor, or did you still have an upward battle?
Well, that night was very surreal. There is that victory that you celebrate with everyone that, you know, voted alongside of you. But there's also that wondering, like, okay, he talked about maybe pardoning us and we can get our families back together. We can get people out of prison, but will he follow through with it? Because you knew that if he did do that, there would be outrage from the left. They would immediately decry it and say, you know, he's pardoning his thugs, which is exactly what they did. So I was definitely, I was hesitant to fully believe that it was coming, or if he was going to do it, what that would look like. Would it be full on pardons? Would there be commutations of sentences? You know, because, and I talked about this quite a bit before it happened. I said, you know, it's when you pardon people who hit police, it sends a really bad precedent and in future cases. Because let's say the left decides they want to riot again and they assault a bunch of police officers because they don't like the election results. Well, the precedent for pardoning people for actually doing terrible things at a very large volume has already been set. So I was hesitant to see a full pardon for everyone.
Right.
And additionally, a full pardon also means that you can no longer go back and appeal your case. So there were a handful of cases where people were accused of hitting officers or, you know, assaulting officers. But it was, in a handful of cases, they were just patting officers on the back and thanking them for their job. But because their hands did touch an officer, they were charged with assault on an officer. They can't go back and appeal those charges. They may be pardons, but, I mean, people still think they hit cops.
That's actually kind of crazy to consider, because I would have never thought that what the government might have done to you after the verdict would no longer be able to be reversed, or you might not get any restitution or anything like that. That's wild to consider, that you have no course of action by basically saying this never really happened. You don't get to actually go back and ask for and I'm not saying people should always financially gain off of it, but you can't even go back and ask for anything. That's crazy.
And it's, I mean, And on top of it too, like I was already done. I already went to prison. I already served my supervised release. I paid my fine, did my community service. So the pardon in my instance, I'm glad pardons came because people did need to be reunited with their families. Spending years in isolation without your family over, crimes that typically see maybe 6 months, and another year of probation, it needed to happen. But I was already done. So it's kind of like, thanks, I guess. It's nice.
And Grimzy wasn't here for this conversation. So I do also want to kind of go back and talk about that experience of entering that system. So I remember you mentioned that, if you filed a complaint, and correct my terminology because, I know there's specific terminology that you used, but there was something to the effect of like you were put in solitary. And if you were to make some sort of complaint or anything like that, they would just basically move you all the time. So you were never able to speak with anyone.
It's called diesel therapy. I actually talk about it in the book quite a bit. It's if you complain against a CO who maybe is maybe abusive, maybe there's corporal punishment, which is unconstitutional. It's already been ruled on, where if one person messes up, the entire unit gets punished. You make a complaint about this, a proper complaint, which you're allowed to do in a federal prison system. They'll just put you on a bus and bus you around the country. Every 2 weeks, a new prison. And when you get shuffled into a new prison, typically you're put in a special housing unit, which is isolation, is what it means. And they'll just keep this up for a couple of years until, they feel like you've learned your lesson. So you're not going to see your family. You're not going to communicate with them. And every time you end up in a new prison, it takes 3 to 4 days to get registered to be able to email or call your people, much less send them a letter. So you could just be disappeared for a year on the road.
And I mean, and the fact that you even get sent to a SHU just because you're putting in a complaint about something says a lot about the system in itself, don't it? Like,
yeah.
I complain about a CO for doing some weird shit, and you put me in a SHU, which is for everybody who's out here doing horrible shit, right? Fights, stabbings, Glock dookies, all types of shit that they do over there. You're putting me with them because I'm telling you that this CO is doing weird shit.
Oh yeah. Well, a lot of COs too are also on the take. So if you want to get contraband, cell phones, you want to get food, alcohol, drugs, you need a CO to look the other way. So there's a lot of payout that happens with COs, and it's when you snitch on someone, and a lot of times AW, this warrant will come in. Ask you like, hey, we've got this complaint. We know things are coming in. If you just tell us what's happening. Well, you're not just snitching on the person who has the stuff. You're snitching on the COs allowing it to happen as well. So it's a whole system that got set up.
That's crazy. Do you think that the diesel therapy thing applied more to political prisoners versus traditional like hardened criminals, or do you think it was pretty even that everyone was treated as poorly?
I think it's people who got in the way of how the system works, the status quo of prison. It's a very well-oiled machine. They like when people show up to go to uniform work. They like when people show up to, do things that make the federal government money. So if they don't, it's like they're fine with amphetamines coming in because that'll keep you working 50 hours a week. But if they have heroin coming in, you're taking naps, you're nodding off. They can't have that. So it's more of disrupting a status quo of the day-to-day prison life rather than, political or even, animosity. It's you're stopping a system that's well machined and getting in the way of it.
Interesting. And I'm sure the people like, you who got brought in off of some political shit were incentivized to fuck with you just a little bit more. Because you got to think about it, right? COs are on the take as of even up to this day. I know that's like a thing that people don't believe. Like, that doesn't happen anymore. It has happened and it will always happen to where COs get on the take because it's too easy. The money that they make inside of that prison is way too easy to not be able to get a CO. So now when we talk about somebody who comes in off something political, and now the federal government at the time gets to tell you, or gets to tell a CO, whatever this guy does, he's fucked, right?
Yeah.
They're even more incentivized if the federal government comes down and tells it to them, because that means what? They're moving up the ranks. They're moving up in pay bumps. There's so many different things that could happen from just the federal government coming in and saying, listen, this guy right here is no good. Anytime he wants to complain, do something to him.
Yeah, and I mean, I tried the soapbox too much. I didn't get nearly as much time as other people did. Prison's always awful and recommended, but where I stayed at was Coleman in Florida. It was not the DC Gulag. I was smart enough to get out of DC the night of, and they actually tried to bus me back to DC to go to the Gulag when I got sentenced, but we were able to work it out where it's like, no, he's from Florida. He should reside in Florida close to his family. So, but in the prison that I was in, I did tell them up front, like, listen, I'm friends with a lot of people in high places. If you guys mess around with me, I can make a phone call to get a hold of a congressperson. They'll be here tomorrow to investigate the matter. So maybe pick on someone else. And that seemed to work quite a bit. They tried to make me work. It was a work camp. And I told them, yeah, I'm not working for you. You can't make me do that. What do you do? Put me in prison?
Fair point.
It's fair. It's fair. Okay. Now I know it's probably talked about in your book, but I kind of want to talk about the nickname you got and how you ended up getting it. What ended up, like, what transpired that day that brought that out of you and kind of created a legacy almost?
Well, I was there to take some pictures. The whole point of showing up to DC, I've never been to a Trump rally before in my life. It's actually the only Trump rally I've been even since. And I heard it was your last one, so I wanted to show up. It was a historical moment. People were walking inside. I followed them behind. I'm a guy who likes social media. I like posting pictures and having a good time. I saw a lectern sitting out in the middle of the room. It was not in someone's office. Didn't break a door down. I picked it up. I carried it 20, 30 feet. I saw some photographers taking pictures. So I smiled and waved. And I set the lectern down, gave a short speech, and walked away. So that picture went viral very, very quickly. So people called me Via Getty at first, because the caption under the picture said Via Getty.
Quickly though, just for the people who don't know, whose lectern was that?
Nancy, that's a point of contention. It's the people's lectern because it's in the people's house, right, paid for the people. But during the time, it was used by Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House.
Gotcha. I remember seeing, as it transpired, you have some news outlets that wanted to definitely say that there was all this violence. They showed the crowd around the doors as their primary example. But then beyond that, they were never able to actually show footage that proved that. But the narrative was already there. People were already echoing it. It didn't matter what anybody said or thought, or you guys. It didn't matter what the actual experience was of anybody that was there. The only thing that mattered was what the news was saying and what the government was saying about what happened. Out of all of the people, there was you, there was the shaman guy.
Jacob Chansley.
Yeah.
The guy with the feet on the desk, that was Richard Barnett.
I remember that now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But there were like a handful of you. This is going to sound dumb, but do you think that anything else happened there during that time that deserved to be like an infamous thing like what happened to you guys?
There was one guy who lit up a blunt middle of the rotunda, just taking it all in.
What was he charged with? Do you know, or anything?
I don't remember. I know he follows me on Twitter. I can't think of his handle, but he sends me the picture once in a while. But awesome guy, very fun. And again, like it's the people's house, and the guy's just sitting back smoking a blunt. I know he was charged with a handful of things. I actually think he went to prison for a short amount of time too.
Damn.
But most of us did. I mean, most of us did.
Yeah.
Whether you were walking around taking pictures or having your pictures taken with cops, nine times out of 10 they sent you to prison.
See, I wonder in reality if you could remove that time from it, right? Like what the charge would have been for not even just a blunt, even if it was a cigarette, just smoking in a federal or government building of any kind, what that would have been there versus somebody going to my local courthouse or something like that and doing the same thing. I wonder if they would actually charge them and follow through the same. And I would assume no.
No.
Well, even in the same building. So I've been back to the Capitol 4 or 5 times now. I'll be back there on January 6th next year for another parade through. And they actually show a video before you walk through the Capitol tour, and they call it a sanctuary. Like they literally believe that where they are is holy ground, and
Right.
the people there are the priests and the saints that we should abide by. That's how they see themselves. And there have been protests in that Capitol, I think 4 or 5 of them since January 6th. And those people were hunted down by the FBI. Those people weren't given, months and years in federal prison. So I don't even think it has to be like a lesser, federal building. I think it just matters what party you affiliate with.
Looking for a new website, app, or hosting? LemacksMedia.com. Check that link out in the description. Do you think that when things like this occur, right, whether it's peaceful or not, that the government should try to send a strong message like, hey, this shouldn't happen. We have guidelines for what you are allowed to do, and when you step outside of those bounds, this is always going to happen? Or do you think that the government should kind of, and I don't want to say sweep it under the rug, but kind of give people one opportunity, like, okay, you did this, slap on the wrist, don't do it again. If you do, then we're going to come down with the hammer on you.
Well, those typically are you're explaining the guidelines actually perfectly. Those are the guidelines. So they have a XY axis, and the X axis is how many times you've been convicted of something, and the Y axis is the level of the crime that you're convicted of. So the more convictions you have, with the further, the more extreme the conviction is, you kind of meet somewhere in the center, and you serve more time. That's how it actually is set up. But there are, it's 0 to 6 months for like the lowest class misdemeanor, never been accused of anything. 6 months is still the hard end of it. But 0 months is typically where they start if it's your first crime. That's not what happened here at all. What happened here is they set precedent for anything moving forward. If someone, walks into a building, a federal building that's in a public space and says, I don't like this, you should be allowed to air your grievances with the people who are grieving you. That is how our country was founded. I think we need to continue to do that. I think the government should be like, listen, this is what protesting looks like versus this is what protesting doesn't look like. And walking through velvet ropes saying, stop the steal, or USA, I can't think of a more harmless protest than that.
Right.
But these people went to prison.
That's...
Now I have a question. Now you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but did you have a record prior to this?
Yes. So when I want to say 18 or 19 years old, I got arrested for having less than a gram of marijuana.
Okay. All right, so you weren't necessarily
straight up
out
gangster.
Here, yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You weren't out here toting Glocks and all types of shit.
No. So
Okay.
I got arrested for a very small amount of marijuana because I was 18, and I mean that's what you do when you're 18.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, and even that, I mean, that don't constitute what you ended up getting charged for on this day.
Yeah.
And the punishments that came from it. I don't know. To me, it just feels like a lot of people like to, either up or downplay something depending on what works for them agenda wise, right? Like January 6th, terrible people. You know what I'm saying? How could y'all go in there and do some shit like that? And then, other major things like what just happened. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy, I don't know what to tell you guys. Like, where do we get the up and down from, especially in these kind of situations? You know what I'm saying? These kind of days are just. Go ahead.
There's civil discourse. I mean, that should exist. We should be able to have conversations. I think drawing a correlation between what happened to Charlie and January 6th, I think it's two very different things. And I always tell it's the whataboutisms that we do. It's imagine you're a leftist and you believe your country was stolen, right? There was a fraudulent election, and you believe this is the end of times, and you should be there at least to speak up. You better believe they would be there to speak up. They did for how many years while Trump was in office? Right? So we already have a one-to-one example. They set the White House on fire. They tried to breach the Capitol. They forced the sitting president into a bunker. They set a church on fire. They burned Secret Service vehicles. I think they injured 18 or 19 officers that night. So there is a very close one-to-one. No, you guys do believe this is the way. When Biden got elected, when Biden elected the first time, I mean, we didn't think it was legit. We really did believe our country was going to be sold off to the communists. We believed that it really was stolen, and this wasn't fair. This was not justice. And we saw for 4 years the pouring of immigration, legal immigration coming over the border, being shipped out all over our country. Like we have a lot of issues because of what happened because Biden was president. I don't think comparing what happened to Charlie and what happened during January 6th is a one-to-one example. Charlie was murdered for speaking, for having civil discourse, open civil conversations with people about how we disagree and how we can find common ground. January 6th was a moment of the country is over, we're going to show up and act. It's not the same thing.
Right.
Charlie was a moderate. Charlie was a guy who wanted to listen and understand.
So I just that's my thing though. It's like there's always a way to minimize it, right? Because you bring up now when this thing would happen with Charlie came up, political violence became the hot topic, right? And that's what a lot of people like to use in that time was, well, look at January 6th. You guys been doing it. You can't compare the two. You know what I'm saying? There's no comparison.
We didn't murder anyone.
It's
we
insane
showed up
to me
with
to
exactly
even
zero weapons. We walked through a building. They shot us. They beat the absolute shit out of us, and we went home.
First insurrection I've ever seen or even heard of without any weapons, by the way. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how you even do that.
So me personally, I don't like following politics, especially not on social media, because I'm there to often get news, and I'll follow, like somebody will break news on there, right? And I'll look into it and I'll say, okay. And most of the time, the first headline, it's the first click. They want to be the first to report. I've actually made this comment before, even on the show, where you open a news article, right? And it doesn't matter who it is. All the news agencies do it. And it's this happened, right? And then you click to open the article, and then there's one line, and it just says, this is a developing story, check back for more information. And 95% of your screen is ads, right? They don't actually care about the story. They're there to get the clicks and then try and convince you to come back because they're going to run the story 75,000 more times.
Or they make you pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they'll update it over and over and over again. Yeah.
Yep. So I look at everything kind of through that lens at this point, and of course you have AI bots that everybody kind of relies on where they will try and look into it. I have for the longest time tried to look at everything from as many different perspectives. You get those ads for like ground news or whatever, which that's just selling information to somebody else. Just do it yourself. Just go and read the article and see what people are actually saying from all sides and come to your own conclusion.
You know what though? At the same time, now I'm somebody who did have ground news. I still have ground news. The way that Google works nowadays, right, is you can look for something very specific and it'll give you everything but that.
Yeah.
A lot of these articles that you're looking for, like, and me, I know like you hate to look at political shit. Like my whole brand is based off of all political shit, right? So when I go to do research and I'm looking for something very specific, and it's not just Google, it's on YouTube too. You go and look for something specific and they give you everything but what you're looking for, right?
Yep.
So what I found on ground news is that you really can find specific articles that you're looking for. So I won't downplay ground news, because at least in my opinion, it is one of those apps that is literally giving you, this is what they're saying, this is what they're saying, and then this is what the middle's talking about. So I actually will endorse ground news in the simplest aspect of it. You know what I'm saying?
I guess realistically what it boils down to then is what toolkit gets you to the destination that you want to arrive to, right? Like if you enjoy ground news, and you can come to a conclusion sanely on your own based on what you view there. And I can do that separately with my tools. There's not really like a right answer. It's just your preference, right? Like if
No, I think the biggest tool you can have in your kid is a fucking brain, right?
it's hard to come by.
Most of the time you can look at something and understand that it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can look at something that happened, and if you have an actual brain and you can actually think for yourself, which is literally the whole point Charlie was ever trying to make. You need to think for yourself. You can think for yourself and think, this is what happened here. This is what they're saying that happened. Something don't sound right, right? You don't need to read it from you don't need to read it from a reporter who's getting paid by one side or another. And and these reporters are getting paid on both sides, right? If you have a brain, you can think about it yourself and really figure it the fuck out. So I think personally, the biggest tool you can have in your kit is an actual brain.
So you're talking about objectivity and lack of bias, and I think you can only develop that by looking at both sides, hearing both sides. I won't post on a story for at least 24 hours, and the reason is because when you do Google searches, these cursory searches, the news is not curated yet. So what we have on Twitter, which I think is probably the best source of news we can find because it is in real time, you get live updates, it is uncurated. Which also means a lot of times you'll get stories that aren't the right stories, pictures that aren't the right guy. These things happen. We've all seen it. And then you have Google, which is overly curated, where even if the story and all the truth is out, you are still hard-pressed to find the truth if it doesn't fit Google's narrative, right? So I like to look at both. If the Google narrative aligns with the hashed-out narrative of Twitter, I call that concrete evidence of this is what happened, right? I try not to conspiracy theory much past that because everyone's like, yeah, we can't hide this. There's video, there's evidence, people were charged. And when I look at Twitter, I'm like, I'll give it 24, 48 hours. There's a handful of people I like watching that are typically spot on. But again, objectivity, realizing you have bias going into a story means looking at both sides.
100%. That's just one of them things too, man. And I'm with you in the sense of waiting 24 hours before you really talk about something, and it's becoming worse and worse. Like it happened not too long ago where I know, like, I'm a conservative creator, and I know a bunch of other conservative creators, and there was a video going around that looked very real, right? It looked very real. Don't get me wrong, that shit, like I looked at it the first time, like, I'm gonna make a video out of this. And then I looked at it a little longer and I'm like, hold on, something ain't right. So I went and I waited a little bit more, and then I got the full picture, and it ended up being an AI video. But the conservative creators that are going out and they need to push the story out too first, they push the same story. And what happens is now you got to backtrack and like, oh, I'm sorry that I didn't do this, this, and this, because that's not what it was. So that's why I'm just like you. I like to give it some time, unless it's like unless it was like the Zelensky meeting in the White House, right?
Sure.
You know what happens there.
There's a video of that. That's a big presser. Yeah.
100%.
I think the other thing we have to be careful of, like, the larger my voice gets and the more followers I get, the more people are going to read the things that I say. And I don't want to add to any type of narrative that is not explicitly true. And the other side of that coin is there are very large accounts where they don't care. Like, yep. I'm just going to share the news because I got to be the first. Because if I don't share it first, then my account's not going to grow. I won't make money. For me, I'd rather tell the truth and make money 10 days out of the week.
That's where we get into the integrity thing that we talk about a lot on the show, man. I'm real big on integrity and not doing something just because it benefits you. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to do something, you got this big platform and you know people are looking at your words and really taking that shit to heart. You have to do the due diligence of putting out right information. You know what I'm saying? Your opinion is your opinion, but don't put out something that will sway other people's opinion without it being truthful.
And so, because we can talk all day about bots and fake and AI and people posting whatever in news trying to capitalize on ad revenue, and I mean monetized accounts trying to capitalize on ad revenue as well. But what I really think just kind of came to mind a few minutes back while we were talking about curation and all this stuff. Adam, has anybody that heard your story originally who was upset with you, have any of them come back and said, hey, now that I've seen the full picture, I have genuinely changed my mind?
Yes, actually, we had I had dozens of friends, like good close friends, that when they saw the original story, I was getting texts like, how could you steal that? What's wrong with you? All these things, and then we hadn't talked for years, and then I start growing, my page started growing. They see me on a podcast, like we had no idea. Like, well, I tried to tell you.
They don't want to hear it from you. They want to hear it from a podcast, man. They want to hear it from the news.
And they're still liberals. They're still leftists. And I still love them because we're still friends.
Yeah.
I can separate the difference between what you do in the voter box versus what you're bringing on Saturday to the kids picnic.
So I was having a conversation with our kids a couple weeks ago, actually, because none of them have social media. They don't. The only time they ever see anything is like, I'll send a dog video to the oldest girl. Like one of the was out of context dogs, I think is the account or something like that. It's some goofy dog video. And so she'll open the link that I send her, like watch the video that I send her, or whatever. But outside of that, they don't have accounts. They're not involved in any of that. And one of them brought up the conversation of, hey, my friend has this. And I was like, it's not even worth it. Like, I know that you're going to start getting peer pressured into it, but that's all you're going to see is doom and gloom all the time. Like, if your friends really want to keep in contact with you, they can reach out to you on your phone. You have a phone. They can do all of these other things. You guys are already sharing memes and videos and YouTube links and stuff on your phone. You don't need to do it on social media too. And it mostly boils down to the politics of it. Like, as soon as they get on there, now they're seeing death and gore. There's sometimes, things that aren't flagged because an account hasn't been restricted yet. Or even funnier, Grimzy posted a picture of himself shirtless yesterday and it was marked as adult content. And I thought that was absolutely fucking hilarious.
Was it?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. You're lying like a mother. Was it for real?
I commented on it because I was like, what does motherfucker post? I don't even want to hit this, but I'm like, I need to open it just in case I need to ask him a question on the podcast. And I open it, it's just you leaning up against the tree.
Mm-hmm. And then I stared at it for 20 minutes, Yep. The weirdest feelings inside.
But I mean, think about that, think about that for the possibility, right? That a piece of content gets flagged incorrectly. And now your kid is conditioned to think things get flagged incorrectly. So let me click here. Now all of a sudden they're gore, porn, whatever. Like you have to, those platforms need to start taking those tools seriously and not obfuscate things that shouldn't be, even to be funny, because people, I'm sure there was like a flag at some point where it made your content more visible if you marked it as adult only or whatever. And it's crazy.
I've done this before for good food.
Yeah.
I made it a sensitive issue because it may make you hungry.
Yeah.
So I'll put a thing on it. But I know, so when you go into a liquor store, right, and you want to buy a bottle of whiskey or vodka, whatever your thing is, they ask for your ID. They have to verify those things. I don't know, and there are a handful of states that do it now. I want to say Texas is doing it, Florida's doing it. I don't think Georgia's doing it, but a handful of states are doing age verification if you want to go to some of these very large platform pornographic sites.
Yeah, North Carolina is one of them.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. If we can do it in liquor stores, why shouldn't the internet stores also be accountable as well?
And so the liquor store also doesn't keep a copy of your ID. That's the one thing that I think is the real sticking point. Their security camera might pick it up when you flash it to them or something like that, and hopefully it doesn't, but I'm sure that's a possibility.
The bank does.
Yeah.
The bank, every time you purchase with your debit card, credit card, you're still leaving a trail.
Yep. But I mean, I don't want the kids getting into some database because, a school project or something stupid like that required them to go to something and the state decided, oh, you know what, it's kind of touchy. We need to verify your identity. I did see, and I'm sure you guys probably saw this too, that kid in the UK that viewed some I didn't follow, I didn't click through to see what it was, but I saw the headline was trending where some kid in the UK had like clicked a link and viewed some article or post or something of some kind. The family got a visit from the police. That's insane.
I saw this. It was the Muslim woman and the blonde who spent way too much time on her bang curls.
It's insane. That's crazy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean...
Is it, though? Like, they've been like that for a long time, and it's just going to get worse and worse. Like, they don't want their own...
This is in the UK?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's not crazy, then.
But, I mean, I'm saying, like, the actual, like, sense of it. Like, the fact that...
Yeah, no, but it would be crazy here, but in the UK, nothing surprises me in the UK anymore.
I don't even know if it'd be crazy here. We have this debate right now. Should Jimmy Kimmel have been silenced? Should Stephen Colbert have been silenced? And it's like, well, first of all, they weren't great at their jobs. And if you're not great at your job, you're going to get fired. So I don't think this is really the free speech argument that we should be talking about. Yep. The free speech argument is, what is the line? Yep. What is the line? If you are gaslighting people to go cause violence, is that a line? Is that something we should talk about? You know, because calling people names, it's not hate speech. So I don't think calling people Nazis, calling people all these terrible things are necessarily hate speech or illegal. But yet and however, when they say that they mean to kill you and that if you don't stop them, they'll come after you.
Yep.
That is provoking people towards violence.
Yep.
So
yeah, the thing with Kimmel very specifically, you know, they're using that as kind of the excuse. I had seen where, you know, it was trending downwards. The contract was coming up for renewal, like in the spring or in the winter or something like that. So this was just an excuse to do it early, or it might have not even been an excuse. They might have already been working on it. We don't know that. I'm sure it'll come up in some leaked email documents in like a year or something stupid like that. But it's actually kind of a smart play from his PR team and social media team and stuff like that to get him trending again, because now his ability to get another big contract is actually increased, because now people are like, why has he been silenced? Why are they so
simple? I think it's simple. In Tampa, they just canceled a pride parade. And the reason they canceled a pride parade, they blame it on because of the political climate, the economic climates right now in Florida. DeSantis got rid of all the DEI initiatives, cut funding for things. On top of this, they can't find corporate sponsors to have this parade. I think what's really happening is they're realizing we are leaking money all over the place to this type of ideology. Now is not a good time to support this at all. You see Disney losing money hand over fist every time they put out a movie, you know, just a propaganda device. But I think it's very simple. Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert are not the voice of the popular opinion in the nation.
So talking about and it's just not a good neither one of them were fucking good. Like, can we?
They used to be.
Can we just get
the Man Show was good. I liked the Man Show when I was a kid.
Can we just call can we call a spade here? Like, who the fuck was watching them at this point? Who gives a fuck? Who was watching them like before they turned into this weird shit that they were?
So I've made a point.
Shit was funny. Shit was cool.
I've made a point about this, Grimzy. This, and I've made it about your industry actually, or your previous industry, but it also applies to an older generation. You get TV ratings for, let's say, like SportsCenter, for example, or WNBA, or The View, or whatever. A lot of that comes from a barbershop putting ESPN on in the background, even on mute. It's on so that people can watch something while they're getting their hair cut and having the conversation with their barber, and that adds to the view count. Yep. Same thing applies with, you know, grandma and grandpa at home. They want something on in the background while they fall asleep and they're lazy boy, right? Like they might not actually be consuming the content, but because that's the channel or the program that they've always watched, they're always going to watch it, even if they hate it. And it's just on, and they're not growing into a new audience. So it's the problem of like product and service placement. You always want to start at the lowest level, right? Like indoctrinating kids in school on Google or Mac or whatever, so that as they grow up, they always want to buy a Pixel or an iMac or, you know, whatever device. And then that translates into, once they get to the corporate environment, they're like, well, now I'm the CTO of this company. We're going to go and overhaul remember BlackBerry being a thing for a while, right? Like,
I had one.
yeah.
Yeah, I should
Really
speed
ball.
over here somewhere. Yeah.
And I mean, it 100% is though. You know what I'm saying? When you look at the generations coming up now, like I came from a generation that had a little bit of everything, right? Like I had like my first phone was a flip phone. You know what I'm saying? So I come from the generation of going outside and not being on the game all day, and the people like these shows like Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, that's all from the TV days where people didn't have shit to watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nowadays, kids, they're on their phones. If they can't watch it on their phones and it's more than 30 seconds, they don't want to watch that shit. All of it's getting phased out anyways. The only people that were watching this shit, like you said, old people and people who aren't actually watching what the fuck is going on. And the people that are outraged about people like Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel losing his shows never even watched the fucking shows.
Well, think about this too. If what had happened to Adam had happened 10, probably closer to 20 years ago, right? Before you really had truly on-demand content all the time, people would have to wait until their 9 o'clock news cycle to watch it. They don't get a choice of who the news anchor is going to be. The news anchor is chosen by the news agency, right?
Yeah.
But now they can go and watch 150 views from public cameras and people's phones and on every YouTube channel and every TikTok account. And then by the time it hits that traditional news cycle, the pre-recorded or even live news cycle at 7, 9 p.m. or whatever, everyone's already seen it. Now they just want to know, where does my local news line up on this? Or what does my traditional news line up on this topic? I'm already informed. I already know what I think. What do they think?
People use the news nowadays to just confirm whatever the fuck they're spewing out, right?
Yep.
Like the people on the right, when they want to confirm something and make it law, they stamp Fox. You know what I mean? People on the left, when they want to confirm something and make it law, they stamp CNN. That's all they're being used for now. They're not even being used for information anymore. They're more being used to just verify what a certain creator is saying. And the truth of the matter is, you can't trust the news on either side. I'm a big fuck mainstream media person. I don't give a fuck about mainstream. Mainstream media can eat a dick. Personally, I don't think even using them to confirm anything should be a thing. I mean, the way I use any of these mainstream media people is I use them for literal clips to just show what they're saying here, but I don't use them as law. I fucking use a little clip on them.
I prefer to bully them into admitting the truth, and that really is the power of social media. I think where people used to watch mainstream media, it was confirmation bias. That's what they used it for, but there was no real back and forth they could have with the news.
Mm-hmm.
Social media, you can call these people out in real time, these news anchors, these propagandists, both from Fox, CNN, MSNBC, pick your outlet.
I love that shit too.
Bullying those people into being truthful is the greatest power that we've gained as like just the ants marching in the past 10 years. So I say keep them going because bullying them is fun.
Facts. I'm gonna bully fucking mainstream media forever. Forever, bro.
I will give one shred, the tiniest little sliver of credibility to mainstream media. And that is only because when something outrageous happens and the bot farms get going on X, right? Like the next, crying wolf of a school shooting, a guy carrying a fucking umbrella around, right? Like then all of X is everybody speculating. You can't find a for sure answer. So then you go and actually look at the mainstream media, and if it's not being reported on at all, you're like, okay, this is clearly either a bot thing or there's not enough information out. So then you can wait and sit on it. That's the only time that I really give them.
Not even like that
they have
anymore.
liability. They have liability.
Yep.
So that's why they don't speak too quickly. But again, like what you said, they have a headline, but it's a developing story.
But my whole thing is it's not even that, right? Because you have things that are happening, right, in all these states. Like they're finding hundreds of kids in this random ass house, and mainstream media doesn't report on it, but it's happening. You know what I'm saying?
So
it's really just pick and choosy. So I can't even give them that. I can't even give
Well, that's
mainstream
also-
media that shit.
That's also a psychology thing. So you don't want to report on 100 kids missing. You want to report on one because the human brain can't. They actually don't have the same level of empathy for 100 kids missing versus one missing. One, you get to establish relatedness. You get to establish I connect with that. That could be my kid. But 100 kids is a tragedy. It's like, man, that's hard to wrap my head around. I hope they're okay. But you don't connect with any one of them.
right.
So a lot of it too is maybe not just they don't want to talk about 100 kids.
Yeah,
but it's not
and
clicks, it's not likes.
But then at that point, then it's just, so what? It's just fuck them kids now because there's 100 of them.
Yes.
It's fucking
It's even
mind-boggling
worse
to me, man.
I know.
It kills me. Like, oh yeah, fuck these kids because there's 100 of them. Let's give the one, and it's already bad enough that the one kid is happening to, but we get 100, and now you don't want to talk about it because it's too much of a tragedy. They can eat a dick, bro.
Well, you also can't. Okay, let's say 100 kids are then missing. You're going to interview 100 different sets of parents. That's man hours. That's work. That's cameras. That's editing that goes along with it. It's everything is built around how can we do this the cheapest way possible to get people to click and like so we can get the story out there.
So
It's not about the kids ever, whether it's 1 or 100. It's about how do we
sad,
tell the
bro.
story.
But when it's
Sad
a
as ever,
feel-good
too.
story, it's the opposite. Because now it's, oh, you only saved one kid. Why was all that tax money and the manpower? But if you save 100, then they're like, okay, good job. They still don't care about who the kids are or what happened. But they're like,
No.
okay, now
No.
the tax costs make sense to me.
And it's crazy too because let's say in I don't think it's the most recent, but maybe the one before that, they did spend a lot of tax dollars on it because they're getting these kids therapy, you know what I'm saying? Physical, mental therapy. They're doing all these things behind the scenes, and that's not even being talked about, right? Like we've gotten to a point where your political agenda is end all be all for who you are as a person. And these mainstream medias prove time and time again why you can't trust them whatsoever, bro.
Yeah. But again, I don't think the media pretty much, it explains how the pendulum exists, why it exists, and then also gives us a side, which side we should be on, right? Like, I know that if I listen to Fox versus MSNBC, at the end of the day, I mean, I'm going to line up with Fox more than MSNBC, 10 times out of 10 because I know who's running MSNBC. But I can still take a look at Fox and be like, I still don't trust you. But if I have to choose a side, I'm still going to be over on that side with those people. And it's the nuance that really separates us when we start talking about the things that are, 1,000 feet up in the air. And I think Fox does serve a purpose. I think MSNBC does serve a purpose, but that purpose is not necessarily giving you the news. It's letting you know, hey, the people at 1,000 feet are doing these things. So pick your side.
So
that needs to be the whole purpose of the fucking mainstream media, right? Stop forcing things down people's throat. Tell people what's happening. That's your job as the news. This is what's happening. Y'all make up your minds on it. They're not supposed to be here to create an entire narrative for somebody else's mind. Give the people what is happening, right? And then
Have you
let them
heard of
fucking do with
Project
it.
Operation Mockingbird? Have you heard of this?
No.
did you talk
You
about
should.
it previously?
I think I may have. So the CIA actually got engaged in basically getting a hold of all mainstream media, both right and left, and giving them talking points. You've seen the compilation of like
yeah, you did talk about this.
Yeah.
It's like every news outlet, like ABC, CBS, whatever, and it's the
local
news anchor
It's
verbatim.
the same thing
I
speaking.
did see that. I did
This
see,
is-
and
this
they
is
put it like side by
Mhm.
side, and then they did a bunch of.
There was a CIA initiative decades ago where basically the mainstream media became a tool of the government. And there are better people to speak about this, much more educated on the subject. But I want to say it was Obama who passed something back in 12 where the media can no longer be held liable for the things that they said. Basically, no, that's not exactly it. It made it to where when this thing came through, it was investigated, and Congress said that you can no longer propagandize, Americans, but other foreign countries. We understand we got to overthrow some countries, so we're going to have propaganda going there because, Chile's in a bad place right now, so we're involved. they were not supposed to do it to Americans, but Obama overturned that during his time. So it became legal for the CIA to actually have propaganda going to their citizens. And that's a very messy way to talk about it. There's better people to talk about it, but it did happen.
So it's basically it's a psyop.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And that's why I say when I talk about Fox, MSNBC, they both hold their useful places in telling us where we're going to line up left or right.
So,
and that's why it does feel like such a pendulum.
Fucking
talking headlines then.
Can't hate these motherfuckers enough, man. Fuck. Hey, if y'all ever get a hold of this fucking episode, any of you motherfuckers from the mainstream media, I want you to just go in your cupboard and I want you to pull out a box of Dickos, right? And I just want you to eat a fucking, y'all ever seen the movie Friday? The big ass bowl Craig pulls. I want you to eat a Craig bowl size of dicks and just take that to the face. All right. And then after, you know what I'm saying?
CNN anchors are already doing that. I mean,
that's fact.
Wolf
Oh yeah, you know what?
Anderson Cooper, Don.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Fuck
that
CNN
sounds like a nice Tuesday night.
So before we shift gears, I wanted to ask, do you have a favorite headline that has been made about you? And also, is there just a headline that was just so absolutely terrible or wrong or whatever about you that just kind of sticks in your memory?
Yeah. So I think it's the St. Petersburg Time. This guy comes out and he says something to the effect of, I have to pull it up. Adam Johnson gets arrested for stealing a lectern, but is there more to this picture than we could first be seen? It's an op-ed piece, and it shows me holding the lectern, and my hand in the picture, like my pinky is like super hyper extended in it, and so it looks like I'm making an OK sign while holding the lectern. So he used that to say that I'm a white supremacist.
Don't fucking tell me the white power.
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
Bro.
He said the image. It looks like I'm making an OK sign, the white power sign, as I'm holding the lectern.
The
whole op-ed piece.
The length that people will go through.
Can we just talk about that shit right there too, bro? Listen, I had somebody who came into the barbershop I was working at, and he was actually banned from going to any Cubs games for the rest of time. And it's because of that little hand sign thing there that they tried to make into a racist white power sign.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Forgetting that kids, back in the day, that used to be a way to get somebody to get punched. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yep.
You put it under your knee, you know what I'm saying? And if they look at it, you get to punch them once, right? The lengths that people will go to make something out of nothing is insane to me, bro.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember seeing that happen, and all I could think was, how far back am I going to have to go in my social media pictures to scrub something stupid like waving, your pinky is too far extended, or there at some point it's going to happen. At some point, something is really going to get adapted or adopted by one of these groups, and you're just going to have to really think like, do I need to go back and scrub my social media now? Because who was it that made the comment about why? Oh, it was Dave Portnoy. He was talking about how Jimmy Kimmel it's not like cancel culture because it's happening in real time.
Sure.
Cancel culture is when you go back and you look at somebody's past. Like all of these things that they posted 10, 20 plus years ago were some obscure forum that somebody has archived and kept as an example of like where we came from or whatever. And they happened to be a member on there and made some stupid offhanded comment or something like that.
Yeah.
I feel that. No, I feel that. I think Dave Portnoy needs to stick to fucking eating pizza though.
He's a Michigan man, so I like him. I don't care what he says. He can do no wrong in my book.
Bro, just go somewhere and fucking rate a pizza for me, bro. You know what I'm saying?
So they actually do they do whole opposition files when you go to run for something, when you go to be anything that's, of any type of prominence. Yep. You actually before you run, you hire a firm to do they do a deep dive into you and they'll bring everything you ever set up. So they'll actually scrub everything for you. There's a service, I think it's like $5,000 to have it done, but I recommend doing it every 5 years. Just hire a firm, $5,000, scrub everything you ever said that's terrible or could be presumed as terrible.
That's crazy.
In my case, they deleted my Facebook and Instagram before I even had a chance to. So I was like, oh, that's nice.
So when something like that happens too, it also kind of brings up the legitimacy of like a screenshot, right? If nobody else can actually go and look at this, if your account has been deleted, there's no way, because I doubt, I mean, maybe they would, but I doubt Meta, Facebook, what any of their brands, X or whoever, is holding on to literally everything, but the screenshot exists. So
I think X has archives.
Oh, I absolutely think they are. I do, because they are funded by the DoD. They're funded by the government to exist. They have so many payouts by the federal government to exist. I guarantee everything is archived. Absolutely.
But for you and I to go and find that is going to be impossible. That means they have to use their internal team, and I wouldn't call it leaking, but they have to be like, hey, news guy, hey, podcaster, check out this thing.
No, that's 100% a leak.
But then you also can't independently verify it, because
that is the power of mainstream media, though.
Yeah.
If they have verified a source, okay, think back to, God, was this 2 to 4 weeks ago? They had Trump's signature on a handwritten card to Epstein, right? And because a verified source said this, leaked this to the news, it is now real because mainstream media said it.
Yep. So ironically, like I said at the beginning, I don't like, and we can shift gears after this, I don't like to follow politics because I'm already kind of set in my ways. I already know I'm a registered independent. There might be somebody locally that I'm not going to vote for, but typically in like presidential election and things like that, when it's blue versus red, I'm voting red. I'm registered independent, but I'm going to vote red. If there's a local issue and it actually touches my day-to-day life, I might do something different. Or like a Fetterman. If there's a Fetterman locally, for example, I might vote for the Fetterman type guy.
Well, I'm either going to vote red or not show up. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
Like, so I've been independent my entire life. I registered as Republican in Florida because I want to vote in primaries.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I'm either not showing up or you convince me that I should show up because I believe in you. I've endorsed exactly 2 candidates my entire life. One was Trump in 2024, and the other is Brandon Herrera, the AK guy who's running in Texas. I think everyone who lives in his district should vote for him. He is the greatest guy to run.
100%. Now, but before we pivot, I do want to say for all of y'all who are out there that don't really want to get into politics, I think going the way Drew goes is a perfect way to look at it. Because I will tell you, getting into politics, you are going to run into the biggest doom and gloom. It is going to fuck with your mind. It's going to do a lot of things to you. Like, I don't think people understand what happens when you really get into politics. And like I said, since I made my pivot into politics, I look back on it like, man, bro, all I do is look at some of the worst shit happening out right now. And you need to understand, if you're getting into the politics side of shit, you are getting into that. Your brain, if your brain is not built to handle doom and gloom all fucking day, 24/7, if you're not made to handle, death threats, and you're not, just all the worst possible things that you could have happen, stay out of politics, stay the way Drew is, being independent, and have your moral compass be set, right? Because I'm telling you, this politics shit, it's different, man.
My point of that, before we shift gears and start talking about some of the more interesting and fun things rather than doom and gloom, was that I saw, what's his name, Emmanuel Macaroni, whatever the fuck, president from fucking France.
Macron.
Yeah. When they were talking about his wife was going to be presenting picture evidence that she has a vagina and like medical, I was like, please, will somebody fucking explain to me, like, I'm 5, why the fuck this is being sent to a U.S. court?
I just wish that Michelle Obama had the balls to do the same.
You said what? But like I hadn't been following the story, so I was like, all I saw was the headline that French president's first lady is going to be sending a picture of her vagina to U.S. court, and I was like, why?
That's going to be the clip for the show that I share. That one right there.
Well, you want to know why? 2 words: Candace Owens. That's why she's got to send. That's why she wanted to send it, man.
Okay.
Candace Owens ended up like digging, and I mean digging, into whatever Macron's wife had going on, to the point where people believed enough that Macron's wife might not be his wife. Now, I don't.
Well, still his wife, just with
with extra parts.
You know what I'm saying? With a kickstand. But I didn't follow too much into it. And the reason is I don't give a damn if Macron's wife has a kickstand up or down. Mm-hmm. That's really none of my business. But Candace Owens is the one who got the ball rolling to the point where Miss Macron was going to send a cooter shot to the...
This is what is fascinating to me. I've been talking about influence culture now for going on a year. And a lot of people don't like the influencers because, think of the photo with all the binders they came out. We got the lists. Big photo op. I have an opinion about that. But influence culture, Candace Owens just made the president of France's wife say, I will show you a picture of my vagina to prove it. Tell me that influence culture is not navigating political discourse these days.
Yep.
100%.
That's crazy.
100%. If you have somebody who's likable, right, and they have a huge following, mm-hmm. what they say can be no wrong.
Dude, I can give you a perfect example of this, and then again we can move away from politics. I made one short in March, right, on the He's Wrong, She's Right channel, and because I was sent the screenshot from one of those database websites for mugshots of Sean Ryan's arrest from 2012. And all I said was, hey, if anybody has any information about this, I'm just curious, like what happened? I want to know what this is about. Because all it shows is his name, the date, and like one other, or like the date of the arrest or his birthday. I don't remember what it was. And I was like, if anybody has any information on this, dude, yesterday, and this keeps happening. This keeps happening on these weird cycles. Yesterday, it blew up again. 40,000 views and thousands of comments of people telling me that I'm a piece of shit for looking into Sean Ryan.
I told you to not fuck with Sean Ryan, man. I told you that already. You can't fuck with Sean Ryan, bro.
Yeah, but I mean, like...
You can't fuck with Sean. Look, Sean, way too many people like that dude, man.
Yeah. But people are telling me you shouldn't be looking into him. He's an American hero. And I'm like... Do you like hear yourself right now? This guy literally told you he worked for the CIA and you don't want anybody to look into him. What the fuck is wrong with you?
He had on Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, man. Look, I'm all for... Look.
He lost me with that one.
You can platform people all you want. I think you should have open conversations. But there are people that you bring in that will just lie through their teeth to be liked. And Gavin Newsom is that guy. Like, I've done probably... north of 100 podcasts now, and every single time I say things that lose followers because I admire honesty. I'm going to tell you the truth as I see it, and whether you like it or not, I'm not going to betray my sense of self. Gavin Newsom is a liar through and through.
Yep.
Sean having hosted him, I think, was a bad call.
Yeah, you know what? He lost me on that. Mind you, now I'm somebody who has watched hundreds of episodes of the Sean Ryan show. That was my main podcast. Like that's what I would watch. The day he brought Gavin Newsom on his podcast is the day I stopped watching Sean Ryan. Because Gavin Newsom is probably the worst fucking offender of being just the fakest, most evil, like, I will say whatever you want to get you to like me kind of motherfucker. And I hate those motherfuckers, bro. He will say and do whatever it is to be liked and get on the wave and follow that wave. That man, if you platform that man at all, I cannot support you from that day forward.
It's also the way he interviewed him. Like, there were very softball questions. There were these tolerances. And it's like, look, man, when Joe Rogan has someone, when Joe Rogan's independent, right? Joe Rogan's independent. He did support Donald Trump in the last election, but I think it's because the left just went too far. When you lose Rogan on just having an independent conversation, that's when you know you've messed up.
Because Rogan says what the fuck he feels on both sides. He'll
Yes.
say shit about both. He don't give a fuck.
Yep.
Pass
I
the
think
blunt
if-
to Eli.
Yeah.
Or to Elon, not Eli.
There's a reason why Gavin Newsom would go on Sean Ryan's show and not Joe Rogan's. That's probably the clearest way to say it.
And I mean, you've seen it with, you know what I'm saying, even during the election, right? Trump went on Joe Rogan.
Yep.
Camel Toe Harris decided not to, right?
Decided to build a $2 million studio to replicate the largest female
Right.
podcast because
For
she didn't
what?
bother to show up to her podcast.
I don't understand it, bro. But like that's really what it comes down to, right? When you start doing things like that and giving people softball questions, it starts to sway the mind now, right? That's why I'll still watch Joe. You know what I'm saying? Joe says some outlandish shit about the
For
right.
sure.
So
I still watch that motherfucker.
let me ask you both a question because I just had this conversation with my wife yesterday. Are either of you the kind of people will like hate follow or hate consume somebody's content? For example, do either of you specifically follow politicians, creators, businesses, or whatever, just because you want to be the first to see what they publish?
Fuck no.
Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely not.
You do?
Yes. I have it. It's not so much to
I guess hate was the wrong word, but it was the
It's-
easiest
I
way
mean,
to.
it's not the shit post, right? And I do shit post on a handful of leftist politics pages, but it's more about what is the most extreme thing being said right now? Like, how far left are they going when a tragedy hits, like when Charlie hits? What's the worst thing that could be said? Are they there yet? And for me, it's to kind of view the Overton window. Which way are we shifting? For me, it's to see the pendulum. Like, how many people are liking this in response? It's basically creating metrics of everyone I don't agree with. Like, well, they said this one thing 2 weeks ago. It got half the likes as this. So how extreme are these people getting? It's more that.
That, and listen, I respect that wholeheartedly, right? I'm a big person of like, just because I don't doesn't mean that you shouldn't, right? I've gotten to the point where I don't give a fuck what they say at all anymore, because I know how bad and how far it's already gotten. So, and not to mention, I already get all of the worst people on X. I think Elon is fucking me on my algorithm, bro, because I already
Send
see
them to me.
all the people. Like I purposely don't follow these people so I don't see them, and that's all I see down my shit. Elon, fix that shit, man. I'm not trying to see these goofies all day. But
You can
my
soft
whole
block
thing is,
them. So if you follow,
Mute,
unfollow, and then mute, you can soft block them so it won't show up.
oh really?
Oh.
See, I didn't know. And then, but see, that's the thing. That's the problem with the algorithm, right? Because I've been hearing when you block somebody, it ends up showing you more. Algorithms are funny that way. But
If you follow, unfollow, mute, it keeps them out of your algo.
okay, well, I'm gonna bookmark that shit right there. But really, I don't care to listen to them, and I guess in a sense it does make sense the way you do it, right? You're trying to judge just how far people are going and doing it the metric way. But for me, all it does is it pisses me off, and then I say things that gets me banned on multiple places. So
I don't
the
block
shit don't
people.
work out for me. You know what I'm saying?
I don't block people. So if you're on my comment section ever, terrible things are being said constantly. Like you can be anti-Semite, you can be a fascist, you can be a racist. Say whatever you want, because my comment section is a platform for you to have a conversation. And if you want to say some retarded stuff, that's on you, and enjoy the people coming after you, I guess. But I don't block people. I want it to be an actual open format. Everyone can talk, everyone can speak. If you have a conversation you want to start and someone wants to engage with that, my page is that place.
So I got somebody posted on the podcast or responded, or I don't remember what it was. Doesn't matter. Somebody said that they follow like all of these zoos around the country and around the world, so that their feed is filled with animal videos all the time. And I was like,
Love it.
I'm doing it. I
Genius.
started doing it already. I'm finding every zoo I can find,
Smart.
every Crocodile Dundee type person, every Xander from the group chat, everybody, every animal guy, following all of them, man.
I'm
Every
linking
single
up with
one.
Xander soon, man.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm
I
linking
just
up with that
really
dude
like
soon.
female volleyball. I follow all the pages. I'm not sure why my feed looks like that, honey. I just love the sports for the game.
I do have to say too, there are some people that I do like. I like following them.
That's one for you. Yeah.
There are people that I like following, but as soon as they start posting the like Titty Tuesday and shit like that, I'm like, come on, man. Like periodically I'm scrolling my phone, my 9-year-old's there. Like I don't want that when we're like laughing and watching something goofy, and then I have to explain, and then he tells mom and he's like, oh, Andrew had this on his phone. Now I have to explain to her, no, I really didn't.
Dad's looking at boobs again.
Did he pull up? Hey, he pulled up to your wife like, I think Dad has a problem.
Yeah.
And
so I
talked to him about it.
One day she said something to me because she's not on X. She's like, you probably follow all these whores and shit. I was like, no. I was like, watch right now. I will hand you my phone. You click the app and start scrolling. You will not see any of it ever. And it was almost like she was disappointed. And she's like, he really doesn't. I thought I was going to catch him here. Damn it.
She wanted to be angry. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
She wanted to be angry at you.
Yep.
You did something and apologized for yet. So
but now
this
now
was the avenue, the catalyst for her to bring it up 20 minutes into the argument.
Now you got to follow a bunch of whores and show it to her again so she's not disappointed.
Dude, I don't know why, but the good morning posts on the podcast channel, maybe it's just because of the age of the account or something. Every time, crypto bots right out of the gate. As soon as you good morning, whatever the joke that goes along with the good morning is, crypto bots, boom, 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 boom. But if I do the exact same post on my personal account, they're not there. It's
because it's a new account.
Yeah.
What you have to do is you have to start selling them your own crypto coins in the comments.
That's a good idea.
You have to buy scam coin.
Let's create a Grimzy coin.
Okay. Yeah.
And we're gonna just spam that and every single one of the bots that does that.
I think scam coin's a great thing to do.
Yeah.
People would buy that actually. You can call it scam coin, and people would still buy that. Do you remember the Hawk Tuah incident?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
They've all gone dark too. They tried to make like a small little comeback and try and justify themselves, but I haven't seen anything else in a while.
Let me tell you something. If you put your crypto faith in a bitch that got famous for hawk tuing on a dick, you, my friend, are what we call in our industry a retard.
Yeah.
Who you deserve to get scammed 110%. And you don't go and get a professional that knows about crypto and all that shit. I'm not that guy. I don't invest in shit, right? But you don't go get a professional. No. Let's give our money to the Hawk Tuah bitch because she's gonna make us millions of dollars.
Somebody will get mad at me for this, but all crypto, and I mean, to some extent, all investments are, but pretty much everything other than like Ethereum and Bitcoin are all essentially MLMs. If you think about it at the broad level, if I buy into a coin early, I need other people to buy into it after
What's
me
the MLM?
to boost the price. Multi-level marketing, like pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, and if I can't convince my friends and my followers and their friends and their followers to buy into the hype to boost my money, I'm never going to make any money to be able to pull out. It's all it is. It's a different way of doing something that's already existed. They're not selling candles and fucking healthcare supplements anymore. They're selling a digital nothing.
Yeah. And just so you guys know, if you guys do get me 10 book sales a piece, and the people underneath you also sell 10 books underneath you.
Yeah. Wait, how many? Okay, so how many do my people have to sell for me to get both versions signed and for free, shipping included?
Well, the shipping I can't. There's no workaround.
Damn it!
I'm sorry.
Damn it.
Where do you live? You're in Minnesota or something?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. I've already seen your capital, so it won't be there anytime soon.
Damn.
We'll make sure you get a copy, though. We'll
Okay.
make sure you get a copy.
Yeah, so I actually did.
Hey, Drew, fuck you. I'm gonna go to him personally and get him to sign it in front of me.
Exactly.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, at
Yeah.
least you'll also know that it's authentic. Unlike somebody like Tim Kennedy, who I know for a fact because I was there and watched. He's not the one that signs his books or signed. He might be doing it now.
I have a stamp.
That's fair. I mean,
I have carpal tunnel, so I can't actually.
Hey, I would take a left-handed,
Motherfucker, you
scribble.
better. I don't give a fuck. You better Stephen Hawking my book and fucking.
It's a pen.
You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck. You better do that.
I want the take my strong hand.
It's my strong hand. You better go. Damn, motherfucker.
So
Sign it with your armpit, motherfucker. I don't care. You signing this motherfucker.
So I do want to get into some of the interesting topics now. Finally, you're a craftsman. You build cabinetry and lecterns. You're also now obviously an author. And my favorite thing, and the thing that I think I engaged with the most, is that you're like the best cook I've ever seen on social media.
I do like cooking.
How did you get your start into that? How did you become Chef Adam?
So I actually, one of my first jobs was in a kitchen. I started on the dishes like everyone should. And I eventually got baited to, making salads and desserts because you go to pastry prep, and then eventually started baking, food on the main line. So there was a pretty high-end restaurant called the Rose Room in Bradenton, Florida. The guy who owned that restaurant made it. His name is Michael. He's got another restaurant now. I definitely recommend going to it. It's Michael's American Brasserie. And he trained under Emeril Lagasse. So when we worked together, he taught me how to make a bunch of food, sauces, how to make meat, vegetables. So that's kind of what started my my journey to cook food.
What is your favorite dish to make?
Oh man, that's like asking me to pick my favorite kid. It depends on the day.
I was gonna say, I know you have a favorite. Everyone does.
Everyone does. Yeah, everyone does. Yeah. I would say. Oh, we got an echo now.
Hey, Grimzy, I think you're picking up or giving feedback.
I don't know how. All I did was mute and unmute on my mic.
Let me try it again. Oh, that's fine. Yep. So, I would say soup and sandwiches for the win. So if I had to have a last meal soup and sandwich, I mean, when is there a bad time for a soup and sandwich?
But are you going canned soup or you?
Oh, scratch okay. For sure. So I would probably go keep it simple: tomato, basil, blue cheese, and club sandwich.
You dip in the sandwich in it?
Oh, of course.
Yep.
And we did beef Wellingtons. We've done French onion soups. We've gone all over the board with that. But you can't beat a soup and sandwich.
What would
if you don't dip your sandwich, I can't trust you for real.
What would you say is a dish that you've never been to a restaurant that just ever gets it right? There's always something missing.
Steak. For the love of God, I've been to steak restaurants. I've paid up to $300 for a steak, and they're okay, but it's the seasoning's always too much or too little. The sear is always either too much or too little. It's we try to cast iron sear them in dry aged beef tallow on the grill. We want the grill at least 600 degrees, and you want a nice hard sear, and then you keep it open. You keep the grill open. You want to let it die down. You want the air to come out of there so that sear doesn't cook all the way through, doesn't burn. By the time you cook the other side, it's dropped down to 400 degrees. Then you flip it over, get it back up to 600 degrees. Now you're cooking the inside of the steak. So there is a perfect way to make a filet mignon in a cast iron on a grill. But these restaurants, they do this thing where they'll sear, and then oven bake it. I don't know. Not a fan of it.
I always kind of assumed that they were sous vide and then searing. But
I don't know what the fuck a sous vide is, right? But I do know that I want to figure out what the fuck kind of steak he's talking about right now.
Boiling. Sous vide is boiling the meat in a bag.
Okay, I don't know why the fuck anybody would like some shit like that.
With olive oil, rosemary, salt, pepper, you basically cook it low and slow at a temperature to bring it halfway there. And then you can sear the ends at the end, where you can take it out of the bag and you can sear, and that's fine, but I don't know. There's something about basting the filet with the thyme and the butter on the second side that just makes it perfect.
So
we did a tomahawk last night. That turned out great.
I haven't done. Every time I'm like, I'm gonna make a tomahawk, I look at the price of it and I'm just like, it makes my heart cry. It makes my wallet cry. I'm not at that level yet where I can justify that, because there's only going to be myself and like 2 of the kids that are even going to try it.
Sure. We have we have 5 kids, all boys, and 4 out of 5 are teenagers. So we have to buy, if we want to do like steaks, we have to buy an entire filet loin, which is in between $125 and $150, or you can buy 3 tomahawks, which is the same price.
Got the echo again.
Cool. It's the I don't know. I think New York strips are terrible. It's a terrible cut of meat. I don't know why anyone's making them still.
What strips do you like?
I like it depends on what I'm making. So flank is fantastic if you're doing tacos. Sirloin's fantastic if you're doing anything breakfast related, right? If you want to do burritos or something, it's great. But I think filet is premier. It just takes a little more loving condition. Ribeye is a close second.
So I am a huge filet mignon guy. That's actually what I judge a restaurant on when I go to. Yesterday, my wife and I went to a new restaurant and I made the mistake of not getting a filet because I'm just kind of coming off this healthier diet that was being tested to make sure I don't have any sort of liver disease. So I was eating like long grain rice.
I just stopped testing for it.
Yeah.
I've been healthy since.
So instead of getting the filet at this restaurant, I ordered the salmon and rice and broccoli, and it was the worst fucking food I've had. And it's a brand new restaurant, and it's like supposed to be the fanciest, nicest thing in the area. I was so pissed off.
You can do salmon well, but you have to dry brine it for at least 6 hours. That's my window, 6 hours, and rinse thoroughly. You want to cut it up, cedar plank it, smoke it. It's the only way to do it. And if you're going to serve salmon, it needs a good hollandaise sauce. I typically do it with hollandaise, truffled a little bit, some couscous, and lemongrass. Fantastic.
Sounds amazing. So when we moved, I didn't bring my smoker with me, so all I have right now is a Blackstone, and I only like to cook on charcoal grills. I only like to smoke with actual wood. I don't use a fucking easy bake oven pellet grill or pellet smoker. I can't tell you how many people I pissed off with that comment. Like I actually enjoy the process of staying up all fucking night and actually babysitting it. That's like
that's part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a Traeger, so definitely shots fired.
Well, I just like it. I mean, I enjoy that process. It gives me a reason to stay up and fucking drink a case of beer and watch random nonsense while everybody else in the house is sleeping. And, then I'm just miserable the next day while everyone else is eating it, but it's whatever. That's what I enjoy doing is staying up.
I also stay up because you have to spritz the meat once an hour with apple cider vinegar. There's a proper way to smoke meats. I completely agree.
Yep.
And I won't do,
What?
I hate doing a brisket on a Traeger. It's the worst apparatus to use for a brisket. It really, really is. I have a Masterbuilt, which is a box smoker. You've seen these? It does use actual chips. It actually does burn them. It's not pellets. And I soak the chips in Jack Daniels and apple cider vinegar.
Okay.
And it creates a really good billow.
Okay.
So, it doesn't get the same charge as charcoal, but charcoal is the only thing I don't cook on, actually.
Really?
It is. I got I don't know. Maybe it's like just a idiosyncrasy thing of mine. I don't trust charcoal.
I love it. I don't know. I like I said, I enjoy that.
To me. It tastes like chemicals to me.
So do you use lighter fluid? Because I don't. I use the chimney stone.
God, no.
Okay.
No.
I mean, maybe. So I buy like the big bag of like I don't know what they call it. It's like organic. I'm using the wrong word, but you know what I'm talking about. Where it's not like the Kingsford perfectly shaped fucking
briquettes.
cubes.
Yeah. Okay. I would love to eat your barbecue. You just let me know when.
All right. I might have to bring it down to you since you're not coming to visit my capital again.
Well, I have 6 more capitals. I'm starting a tour in October. So almost halfway. I'm actually over halfway through now. I'm close to 30.
What capital has had the best food? Staying on the food topic.
Oh man. Well, I mean, I'm gonna say Austin, Dallas. Because they got Terry Blacks over there. They've got Interstellar. They have just top of the line barbecue. So,
What is a food that you just loathe or loathe cooking?
oh boy. I don't. I do not go out of my way ever for Mexican food. I just think it's just bottom tier food, like almost worse than English food.
Ah, wow.
It's just the same thing over and over again. And
That's
I've
fair.
done like 24-hour moles. I've actually tried to make elevated Mexican food, but it's always just the same food.
Interesting. Grimsy, what about you? What's the food that you absolutely love to cook or hate to cook?
I mean, I'm not really a fucking chef. So I mean, like, I don't, I, I find a recipe and I make it kind of guy. You know what I mean? Like, and y'all are over here talking about, charcoal and smokers and, bro, I don't like, I don't do none of that shit, bro. I'm fucking. If I do something, my pan sear everything and everything is cooked in the pan. I don't do nothing special to it.
All right, you're
I
going
do
out
it.
to eat. You've got the option of pho, kimchi. You have the option of Indian food curry or Italian pasta.
See, now we talking. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll probably go with a good Italian pasta, man. I think Italian pasta, when done right in its simplest form, is probably one of the hardest things for most Italian places to get right. Is all these Italian places love to like overcomplicate Italian food, and
Mhm.
Italian food is not complicated.
No.
It's just if you do it right, it comes out amazing. So when you do all the extra hoo-ha to it, it makes it not even Italian food. It makes
Yep.
it fuck. So if
Chicken
you
parm, veal piccata, we're talking max 7 ingredients start to
exactly.
finish.
Exactly. And as long as your cook times are good and the seasoning that you do use on them is plentiful but not too much, it'll always come out good, right? So as long as that Italian spot knows how to keep it simple. Now I can understand like a lot of places like to elevate things, but you can still elevate it while keeping it simple.
Yep.
Right?
Sure.
You give me that.
Salt
I'm
and
very
pepper tastes
good.
amazing
Yeah.
as long as you use the right amount of salt and pepper.
That's
This
right.
is it. I will tell
Indian
you
curry though is a hit.
the guy who taught me actually I was not allowed to use anything else for seasoning other than salt and pepper for the first 6 months of learning how to cook. And he's like, because that's everything. Like anyone can add basil, rosemary, but you have to understand if you can't make food taste good with salt and pepper, you shouldn't be cooking.
Yep. And that was my
I love that,
my
man.
review that I left
That's-
on Google yesterday that
Yeah.
I wish they would have added even just a little bit of salt and pepper to my food. Just a little bit. There wasn't even any available for me to add myself.
I will tell you, my ribs, I'm very proud of my ribs. And I will give away a trade secret here. I use coffee grounds for my ribs every single time. I use a blend of mustard. I use a Dijon mustard, basically champagne and yellow mustard. And then I get a datil pepper mustard from St. Augustine. Mike's datil pepper mustard. You should get a case and it's delicious. I'll do that. And then it's salt, pepper, cayenne, cumin, coffee grounds. And that's my favorite way to do ribs.
I might have to try it out once I get another smoker. I got to do that first.
I'm definitely not gonna try it because I don't do none of that shit, but it sounds amazing.
Well, when
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys hang out, there you go.
Well, the barbecue sauces too. I love adding fruit to barbecue sauce. So whether it's blackberry, rhubarb, strawberry, pineapple, mango, I love adding fruit to the barbecue sauce because it's just straight sugar. But if you use fruits instead of just a bottle brand barbecue sauce, you get so much more flavor out of it.
What?
I'm coming to your house, motherfucker. I'm coming to your house and I'm eating
Well, I'm
whatever the
ducks.
fuck-
It's easy to find.
You-
Yeah.
Bro, no.
Are you a mustard sauce, Kansas City? Are you a vinegar sauce? What kind of sauce are you?
Oh man. So I definitely prefer a tomato-based sauce
Okay.
to a mustard-based sauce, but I think there's room for both. It depends on the fruit you're using.
So I grew up with
strawberry
vinegar sauce.
habanero vinegar sauce a couple weeks ago. It was fantastic.
What'd you say? What did you just say?
Strawberry
habanero vinegar sauce.
vinegar sauce. Mm-hmm. It's a ketchup base, or tomato base.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds
But
good.
a pineapple datil pepper, mustard base is also fantastic. So there's You can go both directions. Barbecue's good either way.
Yeah, and
Shit sound
again,
fire.
it's one of those things where if you have the right person behind there, like it's the difference between going to a fast food place for a specific food and going to an actual restaurant for it. The quality, the ingredients, and the recipe often means more than what the end product is, right?
Exactly. And where I'm at is I will either go to Chili's or I will go to a 2-star Michelin restaurant. It's but the in between stuff, I can't justify spending $50 on a mediocre steak when I can buy an entire fillet, for $100 more and feed everyone in my household.
You don't want to go to Applebee's.
Applebee's can go fuck themselves.
That whole back and forth was hilarious.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. You don't have to delete your comments. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? Happen?
I think it was probably the association with you more specifically than what was said, which is dumb. Like people already saw it. It's already been captured forever. Just run with it. It would have been fun.
Hundreds of people who were going to go eat at Applebee's, take their whole family. They would have seen a surge in their stock, over the weekend, because it's cool that you said, "Hey, what's up?"
Yep.
And what's wrong with that? What I mean, do you check everyone who's been into your restaurant if they've ever been arrested before? Are you asking for background searches for everyone who orders, $5 apps?
Yep.
What does it matter that I eat there and I said I'm going to Applebee's?
Yeah. Yeah, the whole back and forth, like I said, was just absolutely it was crazy. It was funny. I love now that they're just being dragged. And who was it that everyone has now said that is an employee there or an owner there or whatever? And so now it's always
I think it was Stephen Miller who works for the Federalist or the Spectator. The Spectator that said, God, who works there? I think it was in reference to Jimmy Kimmel. I don't remember, but yes, it was a viral post. It was absolutely hilarious.
Yep. Moving along then, I wanted to ask you, of the puzzles that you were never able to complete while in prison, have you purchased any of them so that you could have that full circle moment of completion?
Yes, actually, I have 3 of them now. So when you were in isolation like I was, they had a bunch of puzzles that weren't complete. They were always missing between 7 and 13 pieces. And I have OCD. I very clean person. I don't want things on things. It just drove me absolutely crazy. I couldn't finish these puzzles. So I wrote all of the names down. They're all by White Mountain. And when I got finished with everything, I had a wild hair one day. I'm like, I should finish those puzzles. Now that the book is written, now that everything is kind of pushing forward, what else is not done? So I ordered 3 puzzles from White Mountain. One of them was from, it's a picture of New Hampshire, and it's called, it's Winnipesaukee? Lake Winnipesaukee?
I remember, I think you posted about that, right? Your family did it together?
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, the guy who does Lake Winnipesaukee tourism on Twitter actually followed me. He's in charge of the local town tourism, and he's like, dude, anytime you're up here, let me know. We'll get you a tour of the town. So we're actually planning on taking the family up next fall.
That's awesome. I actually had the idea of jokingly, sending you a puzzle, but I was going to open it. I was going to find a way to get the plastic seal off of it and figure out. I had this whole thing planned out in my head. I never obviously went through with it, but I was going to take out one corner piece and
you sound
just
like a
send
terrible person. Thank you.
Huh? I think it would actually be funny if that was another one of your charitable products, if you had a puzzle and it was just missing a piece.
Just missing a piece.
Yeah.
And we could charge $10 more for that last piece.
Yeah.
There you go. You know what? This is great.
I think both of y'all should go fuck yourselves. I think you're a horrible
the last piece
people.
comes in a little ring box, you have to order it. Yeah.
No, that's fucked up.
It was Keith Olbermann who works at Applebee's. Keith Olbermann.
Yeah. Yep. That's it. Yep.
The guy who said Charlie Kirk can burn in hell. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
There are a few people that if I were in real life, I would actually just dislike them for things they said online. He is one of them. Like, I get that everything online is kind of, it's a show, it's supposed to be entertainment, but I think he's one of those people who actually just mean it. Just a very mean, terrible person.
Yeah, I don't. There's definitely a lot of motherfuckers that are out there like that, and I don't think that they are how they are on the internet in a very public setting.
Yeah, like, I mean, when I go with my family, it's happened a handful of times where someone recognizes me and they want to interrupt a family dinner. And I'm like, look, man, like, I'm sure you have a point or two to make. I'd love to talk to you about this, when I'm done having dinner with my family. Kind of give my number, my card, and I'll just have time to talk. And, most times people will be like, oh, sorry, I'll, well, sure, sounds good. But occasionally, like, there are some crazy people who they're just awful people. And regardless whether with your family enjoying a nice night or not, they will interrupt it and try to drag you in real life. And I'm not this person. I've met some people in real life that I don't agree with, but I'm not gonna upset their day. Like, they're not at work. They're not at work.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen, again, going back to social media stuff, there was that person recently that was like following around the National Guard soldiers in DC, just like screaming at them and shit.
Yeah.
And they're like, dude, like the left is always saying that, the military, they're not going to follow orders. They're blah, blah, blah. There'll be this and there'll be that. And they're like, this is just a basic thing. They're just patrolling. They're just walking around. They have been activated to come here as a show of force and just walk around and just be there. And here you are wanting to become famous on TikTok, screaming at people who are literally just doing this as a part-time job. And they're going to go back and do their normal day job. They're going to go back to construction, or they're going to go back to, working in a nursing home or a chef somewhere, or whatever. It's not like they aren't here to, I don't know, control the world like you think they are. They're not here to prevent you from normal day-to-day movement and your freedoms and activities. They're just here so that people stop killing themselves or killing each other.
Yep. What was it? It was and again, it's we talk about these things like, would the police do X, Y, Z? And I think we can look back at COVID. There were some police municipalities in some certain towns that were shooting people with paintballs and airsoft for being out past curfew. So, yes, they will follow orders to an extent. And while the left cheered on the police doing those things during COVID, now when they're just sitting around in DC as a show of force, now they have a problem with it. Yep. And it's like, well, we're defining crime as, breaking into vehicles, assaulting people, murdering people, robbing people. We think these are crimes, and DC has a very high proliferation of that. That's why we had the National Guard there. That's why we deployed these people. And you're saying that's wrong. I'm looking back at these cities that had cops riding around shooting people with paintballs for being on their front porches after 10 o'clock at night during COVID because an entire town was set on lockdown. Even though they're going nowhere, they're literally on their private property.
Yep.
So we are not the same. We're not the same.
And I did see something interesting. It's actually from a channel that you can tell, like, they don't come out and specifically say it, but you can definitely tell periodically based on how they say things that their ideology is more left leaning. Yeah. And they made an interesting video last week, I believe, about the DC police and all of this. And basically what it boils down to is the federal government has absolutely no authority over them. They can't use them. They can ask the mayor.
Yep.
But they have absolutely zero authority. So you have to have federal police force. The fact that you have to have a redundant police force to do one job is what the problem is.
And it's not just the police force. Okay, so the police force is supposed to reduce the crime, but the reason the crime is up because you have DAs that selectively prosecute and let people out on bail, such as the guy who shut up the ABC studio just a couple of days ago, he's out on bail. He
Yep.
posted bail. And I want to say that case did go federal, so he was rearrested again by federal police. But again, when you have rogue DAs, you have rogue agencies at state levels, prosecutors, judges who are refusing to take cases of violent criminals because they have ideologies that just line up with these people, you're asking for the federal government to get involved. States were meant to regulate themselves in a fair, unbiased way, and we don't see that happening anymore. We see states going very far left and very far right.
Yeah, I mean, you get a lot of these places like Illinois too. It's a cashless bail kind of thing. So it's like these guys are going in, and because a place like Cook County is so crowded, so
Yeah.
they don't have to pay a bail. Cook County's crowded. Anything short of you killing somebody,
Yep.
it's like you getting right back out. They're putting you right back on the street. You get caught with a gun, you come in, you get processed, you sit down for a little bit, they let you right out on the street. When you have this soft on crime stance that a lot of these left-leaning cities, well, I wouldn't even say leaning, they are 100% left, right? When you have this soft on crime stance, nothing will ever get done, right?
Yeah.
And when we get to a point where we're sitting here and we're looking at a federal government coming in that wants to stop crime, and we're saying, no, this is wrong. Like we can't have these. We can't have this happen. I, as a newly political mind, cannot understand at all how we've got to the point where we're saying crime is okay because the man that wants to stop it is somebody we don't like.
I think it's simple, actually very simple to explain. We are a nation of cowards. We are a nation of cowards who used to, when we saw, men abusing women, when we saw men abusing children, when we saw, teachers abusing children, when we saw, priests abusing children, we would just take care of those things. We didn't need a court system to, this is not an argument for anarchy whatsoever. This is that we were better men, but we were allowed to be better men.
Yep.
The courts didn't come after us. If the general population of a town said, yeah, we knew it was a problem, we're glad it's taken care of, in a cost-effective way, that guy got his ass beat. Good. He had it coming.
Yeah.
We can't do that because now who's prosecuted and held liable, or whoever the media tell you is the bad guy. Think of the reaction of Daniel Penny versus the murderer of the United Healthcare, Luigi, what's his name? Think of the reaction from mainstream media for Daniel Penny versus the UHC guy.
Yeah, no.
They've already dropped 2 charges.
Yeah,
in
the
New
terrorism
York.
stuff. Yeah.
Yes, against Luigi. They've already dropped 2 charges.
Yep.
Daniel Penny got this perp walk. How many articles written about him? Luigi, it was basically softcore porn where they're releasing this guy like topless, like, but isn't he cute though? Like, it was ridiculous to see these things juxtaposed.
Could you imagine? If you think about it for a minute, right? We live in a society where, even if, in perfect example, one of the views that they had of Kirk Shooter jumping off that roof was like somebody's doorbell camera from like a quarter mile away or something ridiculous, right? Like there's always a camera on you,
Yeah.
all the time, no matter if you think there isn't, no matter how far away it is, there's always something looking at you. So you see something wrong, you know it's wrong, and then in your head you're thinking to myself, do I live in an area that's going to prosecute me for intervening? And is somebody recording?
Yeah.
Well,
Is it going to
now-
be used
wait,
against me?
Because maybe just connecting too many fucking dots here, right? But you see the Luigi shooting and the Kirk shooting, right? You see how those played out, and then you see the Daniel Penny, and you see the situation with the girl from Ukraine. Can we I see all of these different things and how they're reported on, and that's really where a lot of my hate comes from. The mainstream media of the cherry picking.
Yeah.
This
Again,
one is
it's
okay.
curated.
This one's not as bad. It's like, man, bro, how as just a normal human being can you go to these lengths
No.
to be
Well,
so
it's-
fucking wrong?
The only reason we have the whataboutisms is because of the gaslighting that exists, right? Like, it's if you had switched roles, if it were a white man murdering a black woman on that bus, right? I mean, that would be called a hate crime. That would be dragged out of the media all over the place. And again, this is a whataboutism, which I try to steer away from. But the only reason we even talk about those is because of the curation and gaslighting of the mainstream. We are told that it's only a hate crime when a black person is murdered. It is only a hate crime when an immigrant is murdered. But you can murder any white person in the world. It's like, well, what do they say, though? Do they have it coming? Do they have opinions that kind of went against the things that we generally agree with?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
sad.
completely out of control.
I'm not a doom and gloom guy. I'm a white pill guy. My life is good. I love my kids. They're happy. They're healthy. My wife is happy. She's healthy. Life is good. But I think the reason we got here is because, one, we were told to shut the fuck up and sit back. And we thought that was okay, fine, we'll do that. It made us cowards. And now they're literally killing us for having conversations. And I wish it weren't just that clear, but they have made it that clear.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Shift gears again.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's fine. Getting here close to the end of the episode.
Drew gets uncomfortable in political situations.
No,
that's not politics though. Charlie was a moderate. I'm a moderate.
Yep.
I believe in a lot of leftists, policies. I think that healthcare should be covered. I think we should take care of our kids. I'm all for immigration as long as they're vetted.
Yep.
Like, if you're escaping a country where they're murdering you because you're a Christian, definitely come over. There's a place for you here. Like, I'm definitely liberal in a lot of my social policies. But even talking about anything conservative gets you shot now. It's sad.
Yep.
Sorry, shift gears.
No, it's fine. It's fine. So I wanted to talk about some of the charitable work and things like that, and a couple other topics before we kind of round it out. I remember back in the fall, you were going to cut your hair to donate it. How did that go?
I did. I lost 12 and a half inches. So I lost a lot of the hair, gave it to a charity. I'm not going to name it because I don't want them to throw it away.
Did you end up going with a larger one, or did you go with like a more localized one, like my wife had kind of hinted at or stated or something?
It was one of the larger ones. There was a whole... So you can donate anonymously to the one that I did. Okay. I didn't want background checks. And this guy donated here, so I wanted to make sure it went to the kid that needed. So...
now I feel like you just started a thing where they're going to start DNA testing people's hair and be like, who donated this? We need to know.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, so some kid now has cancer and red hair.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
God damn it. I'm not laughing about this. The unlicensed furniture movers, your lecterns that you manufacture out of your workshop. What does the money from that go to these days?
So I also have my own charity. It's called Help Take a Stand. Okay. And I started this up about a year and a half ago because during my plea deal, I couldn't make money. So we just sold. You can't just give money away to people. They'll tax you on it, which is ridiculous. So I had to start a 501c3. And then all of the sales that came out of building lecterns and merchandise went into the charity. And the money went out to people who needed it that were wrongfully prosecuted by the DOJ. And it was apolitical, indifferent. If you're in prison because the government set you up, I want to make sure your kids have groceries this week. That was the whole idea. Since the pardon, I still do give a large portion of my profits to the charity, and that money still does go out. So we're still doing that because the fight doesn't stop.
Yep. How many? Because you still do this by yourself, or do you have additional people?
It's all me. So even down to shipping out the books, I'm doing all my own shipping.
Wow.
I do all my own carpentry. If something hits your doorstep, it's because I packaged it and sent it out.
And I do want to come back to the book thing in a second, but back to just one more question about the podiums. How many can you produce in a given time? I know, weekly you might be traveling or something like that, but on average, how many can you produce?
About 30 a week. And it's finished carpentry, so I'm routing all the own wood. I'm doing all the own, polyurethane paint.
Quickly, everybody order 50 in 1 week. Everybody order. Just order a fuck ton of them. Let's make them overwork.
Yep. And the links will be down below so everybody can find it.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. I'm up for the challenge. I actually love woodworking. I can put on a podcast or a book or some music and just zone out in the garage. It's great.
Well, speaking of which, I'm wearing a John Malecki shirt right now, so I mean, kind of right on brand for that. That's kind of like what my guilty pleasure, if you want to call it, is, like watching woodworking. And I don't do it myself. I can do handyman stuff around the house. I have enough tools, but I don't have the kinds of things to like really build something like I would want to. But man, like watching some of the stuff that people like yourself and Malecki, and I think one's like Four Eyes, something like that. Are you familiar with any of these channels?
I know the first one, yeah.
Okay.
But I'm all self-taught too, so I actually didn't know how to use a drill or a saw until I was like 26, 27.
Wow.
No shit.
Yeah. I wanted crown molding in the home. I had a quote done, and it was some ridiculous number. Like, I'm not paying that amount of money for wood on the ceiling. That's ridiculous.
Yep.
So I went out and I bought a miter saw, a tape measure, and a brad nailer, and a bunch of crown molding, and I did a terrible job. I mean, it was so bad, like really, really bad. But I'm a guy, if I can't do something, I'm going to keep doing it until I can do it. So, here, 15 years later, I mean, I built my own kitchen, all the carpentry you see in the office, that's all me, so.
Yeah, I remember when you came on last fall, you were at a racetrack installing cabinets for a friend's pit garage.
Yep, that's exactly what I was doing. Yep.
I don't remember, it was like a Ferrari or something was in the background the whole time, or
there was a Ferrari on the track racing, so that was the sound. But in the garage, it was an Audi R8 and a Mercedes AMG GT.
There we go. Yeah. I just remember that. I remember you joined the call and you're like standing there and you're like, oh, it's kind of wobbly, but I'm on like this stand. I'm installing cabinets. I'm like,
yeah,
this is kind of actually cool. It's kind of like being a little bit deeper into your life. I'm not just, we're not just sitting here offices or in a studio. Like I actually see what you do. So it was kind of cool.
I actually got to, they paid me I got to take that AMG GT out for a race car rally for 4 or 5 days through Florida. It was fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we went very fast.
Moving on to the book then. So can we get like a high level overview? Like what could people really expect? Is this like your life story? Is it your origin story all the way through where you are now? Or is it just kind of specifically about the events that occurred around then and what's transpired since?
It's meant to be like you were walking next to me. From the week before, like the night before, I traveled to DC, to what happened in DC, to being, prosecuted by the feds, going to prison, and then being released from prison. The book ends when I got out of prison, so it's not any of what happened afterwards. We're talking about maybe doing a couple extra books afterwards, like the.
You're with Wargate, correct?
I'm not actually.
You're
just a big fan of this. Yeah, I'm self-published. Yeah, so I did all the writing myself. There's no ghostwriter. But it's very personal. This is not things that I talk about on podcasts. It is kind of that deeper, this is what happened with my family, the behind the scenes stuff that I don't really open up about. So it's a very heartfelt, story.
Yeah, I'm excited to get my hands on it. Are you going to narrate the audiobook, and will there be an audiobook?
Yes and yes. So
okay.
I'm working on setting up a studio space. The goal is we wanted to have things exclusively on our website because Amazon takes a bunch of money if you do book printing through them. We talked to publishers and, I've never had a GoFundMe or was able to raise money for my attorney fees. So we wanted to make sure that we, give people a product, not just ask for dollars.
Yep.
So the book I've been working on for a few years, it's finally done. It's available on my website, unlicensedfurnitures.com. I think it's in a link below. And we want to give people a product. I don't want to take your money. So it's a personal look into my life. It's definitely political satire. It's not meant to be this dark, depressing black pill that the world is terrible, everything sucks. It's a lot of jokes along the way.
That's good. The humor always helps. It helps carry the story a lot of times. One last question then, and you kind of already answered it by saying that you're doing self-publishing and everything. Was there anything in there that you needed to get approval on, and what was that process like if you did?
Well, I hope there wasn't. No, it's my story. I didn't have to sign any NDAs with the government. That was a big part of the plea deal. It was a 5-year stipulation of not making money, but I was never told you can't talk about this, can't talk about that. And mostly because, I saw what I saw. I didn't go with a group of people. I'm not, involved with a group of people that had any plan to do anything. I'm just a regular guy who showed up.
So, okay, then my last question about the book, and I'll turn it over to Grimzy to jump into any questions that he might have. Is there anything in there that you might have changed that people might try and jump on and be like, oh, well, this clearly couldn't have happened simply because like you're trying to carry like the story or anything like that? Or is this just like to the T, everything that happened verbatim?
Well, to include everything, it's a 4-year journey. So I'm sure there are some things that are missing that I may have forgotten about because, again, it's been 4 years.
Yeah.
But as far as like changing details, places, times, nope. It is what happened. It's what we experienced, what we went through.
And other names that are included in there as well.
I did change the names of a handful of COs, inmates, and people that I worked with, just because the world is crazy.
Yep. No, I can completely understand. So, I have a buddy that just published, and it was a book about his time as a cop, and for obvious reasons, he had to change street names and cases and
exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, Grimzy, what you got?
When I come pick up my book, what are you cooking, bro? Because you can't talk about all this cooking shit and you're not gonna make something.
I think we got to do ribs. You just got to figure out what fruit you want: mango, pineapple, strawberry, blueberry. You pick the fruit. I'll make a barbecue sauce. We'll do ribs.
Nah, I don't want to pick the fruit. I want you to pick the fruit. I want you to pick the best fruit you got. Whatever one you like the most, that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, we'll do apricot ginger.
I'm with it.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm with it, man.
Is that because of your hair?
Yes.
Hey, do y'all
gotta
have
represent the
souls
kitchen,
Hey, do y'all actually have souls?
We'll see when I die. Big pearly gate. We'll see if I was even in the running.
All right, man. All right, you let me know when I get up there. You know what I'm saying? Like, whoever gets up there first, when you come down.
I'm pretty sure gingers run purgatory is how it works out because we have no souls. We can't go one or the other. We're just in charge of purgatory.
Hell yeah, just in there with a steak, just feel that.
I can't tell you how many times I've said that joke to like the kids, like joking, or not even just like to the kids, but like joking about like some kid running around like at the community pool or something. I'm like, I feel terrible for that ginger not having a soul or stealing souls or whatever. And the kids are like, what is wrong with you? We're in public.
We are the most marginalized community. It's okay to make jokes about us. The only holiday we get is everyone gets drunk and makes fun of us, But you don't hear us complaining because we can take a joke.
Yep. Has the Florida sun ever gotten to you?
Dude, I try to avoid it like the plague. I love this state for its politics and its policies, but I don't belong here. I should be somewhere cold and dark.
So we had a guest on actually here in my home because he lives here local to me. And Grimzy was talking about his move down there, and we brought up the bugs. And I was like, you're going to need a bug guy when you get there.
Fuck these bugs. Man.
I just found out I'm allergic to mosquitoes. That's a new thing. I've been here for 30 years. I've been eating my mosquitoes for decades. Somewhere in the past 6 months, you can develop allergies at any point in your life. I am now allergic to mosquitoes. I found this out because I woke up one day and my entire left leg was swollen. I mean, like from kneecap down to my foot, just puffy as hell. My wife's a doctor. She's like, oh, you have a blood clot. Definitely go to the ER and get that CAT scan. So they did that, like, nah, you're fine, no clot. So like, well, took antibiotics, it went away. A week later at the Springs with kids, and it gets blown up again. This time we actually see the bug bite where it started. It's a mosquito. So I'm in the wrong state.
That's
completely
crazy.
I shouldn't be here at all.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie to you. Y'all listen, you told me about the palmetto bugs, right? Motherfucker, you didn't tell me it was actually that fucking big. Bro, the motherfucker, no. Drew, I want you to go fuck yourself, okay? The motherfucker's like this, okay? I thought somebody was fucking with me and they bought one of them, like the little rubber ones that you buy from the dollar store. And I looked at it and the motherfucker, it looked like, I swear to God, I thought he was smoking a cigarette in the bathroom, just fucking kicking it. Bro, I was like, oh no, this can't be what it is. So look, I grabbed the chancla, right? And I go and I smack him and it wasn't a very manly smack either. You know what I'm saying? I turn into a bitch when it comes to like roaches. I don't like roaches. So I smack him.
He just turns at you, looks at you.
I swear to God, that's exactly what the motherfucker did. He was like,
excuse me?
Like, bro, what are you doing in my house? No, you gotta fucking die. And now I swear to God, if I would have had my gun on me, it would have been over with in that bathroom, full remodel.
Listen, you can't get rid of them either. Once they're in there forever.
Yep.
And it's not even rainy season.
Okay.
Give it a
The
month.
German ones
Listen,
are the worst.
don't tell me that.
When rainy season comes, I'm telling you, dude, don't turn the light on at night. It's best just to coexist with them.
Hey,
don't turn lights on.
Your landscaping around your house, do not use pine straw. If you can use like rubber or rocks, that's the best option.
Bro, what the fuck are y'all talking about right now? Coexist with the.
It's just.
I'm moving again.
You got to leave a sacrifice in the garage on the floor, some cube sugar, put a little bit of Coca-Cola on it, and they'll stay out there. They'll stay out there. They'll congregate. They'll realize this is my space.
Grimzy's gonna wake up.
Bullshit.
With
bullshit. Cause look, I swear to God, I was cleaning the spot out around here, bro. And the motherfuckers were sitting in a circle like they were having a junta. The motherfuckers, they were having a meeting by the shoes, bro.
Yes.
3 of them having a meeting by the shoes.
Well, if they're meeting, you're already in late stage 3.
Yeah.
They own your home now.
Grimzy's gonna wake up with the. You guys remember Men in Black, the dude that was made out of roaches, just wearing the skin suit. Mm-hmm. He's gonna wake up with him in the bed with him.
Andrew, I just want to let you know something. When I come up there to do the in-person episode, as soon as you see me, put your fucking hands up. That's all I'm telling you. Put your hands up as soon as you see me, Andrew. I want you just to just be in a ready stance, please, because I'm gonna be.
You're going to bring them with you. They actually will. Also, cardboard. You don't want to store cardboard longer than a week. You got to recycle. Get it out of here.
I'm bringing cardboard to your house and I'm leaving it in your basement, Andrew.
It's a bunch of shoe boxes.
I'm bringing a bunch of shit to your house, motherfucker.
I fortunately have a bug guy. I've had a bug guy the whole time I've been here. So
necessary. Yeah.
Yep. My wife pays the bill for it now. So I know she doesn't like paying for it, but she pays.
No, you know what? Fuck both of y'all. Can I just say that? Fuck both of y'all. Because I didn't need to know all this shit off the rip, man.
Well, listen, they're high in protein. They go great on ribs. I'm excited to have you over.
He's not going to want to eat your food now.
Hey, send this guy back to jail, man. This man got to go back to jail. Fuck all that. He got to go back.
First of all, it was federal prison, so jail's for pussies, all right?
Oh, yeah, you right. Hey, the feds got to come pick him back up, man. The shit he's doing is a crime, bro. What do you mean they're high in protein, bro? No, that's a fucking crime.
You know, Soros got to me. He said, eat the bugs. You'll be happy. So I tried it out. He was right.
So let me ask you a question then while we're on this whole bug topic. And I had seen an experiment that was run by like the U.S. Army or maybe the CIA or both or something like that with infecting bugs with certain things and like dropping them. And I think it happened in Florida. Do you think that conspiracy cap on here that could be related to why you developed an allergy to a mosquito out of nowhere?
It's possible. I mean, look, I remember there was an entire year where like the flu just didn't exist. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
It was right after the peak of COVID, I think 22. The year of 22-23, there was just no flu whatsoever. I do think they manufacture these things. And I mean, if you follow anything by the NIH and the CDC, the things they're researching, it's like, yeah, they're definitely making these things. Yeah. So could the allergy come from that? I mean, I wouldn't put it past them.
Well, because I know that like the Gates Foundation, and I'm sure somebody's going to jump in the comments about this, but the Gates Foundation, I believe, was trying to create sterile male mosquitoes and then dump them into areas with malaria so that they couldn't reproduce.
That sounds like a Jurassic Park script.
Yeah.
Yeah, life finds a way. It seems like you're putting mosquitoes and things.
Yeah, and I'm not like saying this as a conspiracy theorist. This is something that they have come out and said this is what we're trying to do to stop malaria in underdeveloped countries.
And they did this with 10 years ago, my brother tells me, they can manipulate the weather, right? And I'm like, what are you talking about, weather modification? Like, I'm like, you need to get off a subreddit. That's far too much. Then I read in Florida, we banned weather modification last session. And it's like, wait a minute. And then the article comes out. It says there's a company actually called like a Weather Mod or something. Like, so you named the company after modifying weather, but I'm called crazy for saying it exists? Like, just crazy stuff, man. But again, we're always 10 years behind the curve.
Yeah.
So whenever I hear something crazy like you got that because a mosquito bit you or you ate the bat soup, and I'm like, look, I'm going to give it 2 days and I'll look into it. But I don't know, conspiracy theorists are what, just ahead of the curve?
Maybe. Well, so I don't know if you know this, but there's it's like the Texas tick or something like that, where if it bites you, there's like a population of people who will become allergic to red meat. Yeah.
Oh, I'm still eating it. I don't care.
Okay, bro. Listen, y'all are making me itchy, bro. Can we? I don't want to fucking talk about bugs no more, man. Y'all are fucking killing me on here, bro.
So it happened to my uncle. I think it's called the Lone Star tick. Happened to my uncle.
Texas tick-borne disease.
Yep.
Holy cow! I don't want this. I go to Texas all the time. Nope.
Yep.
There isn't a single cure for Lone Star tick disease. Oh my god. All right. For tick-borne bacterial infections, antibiotics like doxycycline are effective. For alpha-gal syndrome, a meat allergy, there is no cure, but the condition can resolve on its own over time, and it's managed by avoiding red meat and using epinephrine auto-injectors for severe allergic reactions. So I'm going to go on eBay and get a bunch of EpiPens the next time I fly to Texas, because that sounds awful.
I'm sorry for ruining your day.
I didn't know this thing existed. God, wow.
Yep. I only learned about it a couple of years ago when it happened to my uncle, and I was like, what? That's because I went through paramedic school and nursing school, and like that's not the kind of thing that they teach you, which, to be honest with you, every level of medical education I've gone to, and then the job that I've been in after, my level of education had nothing to do with what my job was.
Oh, sure.
When I was a medic in the Army, I was pretending to be a school nurse while in the Army. Like, I'm updating medical records and getting yelled at for people not going to dental. And I'm like, they told me how to stop bleeding. What do you mean he didn't get his tooth pulled?
I don't know what's worse, learning about this disease or finding out my dad only lived 2 hours away when I was a kid but never visited. Both of these things are traumatizing. I don't know what to do. Well, on that note, I should probably go see my kids.
Jesus Christ. I mean, that's another one.
Grimzy, another one on
there. No, I mean, I fucking love this dude, man. You know, believe it or not, this is the first time I've ever talked to him. And I mean, just good peoples to be around, man. We definitely appreciate you coming on and donating some of your time to us, man. And looking forward to getting the book and reading that.
And having some ribs.
Oh, man. Yeah, hold the palmetto bugs, please.
Oh.
No, but yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Drew, you got anything else?
That's it. Appreciate you coming on again. I know you're doing your whole book tour right now and everything like that, so I was happy that we were able to get some time with you.
For sure, man. It's my weekend off, but you're good people, so wanted to make sure I got some time.
Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, man. Well,
do you have anything else that you want to say? Anything that you want to close on? Any comments you have for anybody?
Yeah, you can buy my book at unlicensed.furniturewares.com. It's linked below. And fuck Applebee's. Other than that,
fuck Applebee's, man. Fuck Applebee's, man. As always, love, peace, and chicken grease, man. We're going to get the fuck out of here. Drew, send them out.
All right. Peace. I'll be right back.
Trunk Tales! Trunk Tales!